Okay. Thank you so much again for agreeing to have this interview with me and for agreeing to share your perspective with me and with our readers as well. There were a lot of things happening lately, especially when it comes to the relationship between the United States of America and Ukraine, but also the US and Russia. And the first topic that I would like to discuss with you is actually about the US and Ukraine, because we saw yesterday that US President Donald Trump made some statements towards Ukraine and President Volodymyr Zelenski. He called him a dictator, and he also asked for presidential elections in Ukraine. We've seen that many European leaders actually criticize President Donald Trump for saying that, but I would like to know what is your perspective about that. If you think that the relation between Ukraine and the US is changing drastically in a negative way, or if you feel like the United States is abandoning Ukraine.
Actually, I should say that today is the 24th of February, and we could talk about a little bit results of the Trump presidency for 1 month. And if you remember the same statements, I mean, not the same, but a similar pressure President Trump made for Greenland and Danish colleagues, the Canada, Mexico, Panama, at several countries, which is actually neighbors and allies, including Ukraine. And I have a question. What is the result of all of this? Nothing, actually. So this is a tactic of Trump. This is, unfortunately, this is the reality that President Trump living in real, some artificial informational reality, which is a little bit out of real reality, which is very, very bad because the leader of the one of the maybe the most powerful country in the world, the make decisions based on some very, very confusing information. Because first of all, kind of how it's impossible to say to Canada, okay, I propose you to be the 51st state of United States based on information that actually the Canada is a member of British organization, and it's impossible to Canada change, even formally, even theoretically, it's impossible. So the same with Ukraine. A lot of information announced by President Trump, it's absolutely crazy, out of reality, and this is very bad, I think, because we have a war, a very, very dangerous war. It's killing everyday people, and I would say, for example, tonight it was 170 and more shaheds on Ukraine, including Kiev. I didn't sleep this night because of the shaheds, and they attacking the Ukrainian air defense. They downed it. So when you look at these a little bit inadequate announcements from United States, looking at the shaheds here, and Trump, it's kind of okay, guys. What are you talking about? We are in the war, and all of this mess created by Trump, it's absolutely out of Ukrainian reality. Believe me, Ukrainian people now, they just look at Trump and saying that, okay, if American people, if United States people elected this guy, okay, it's your problem, but it's not Ukrainian problem. Why we should sign some agreement of 50% of Ukrainian resources by nothing? What is this? It's absolutely crazy, and you know that from the polittechnology side, I would say that Trump administration now killing all of possible ultra-right and pro-Russian forces, not only in Ukraine but including Germany, Romania, etc. Because when J.D. Vance openly interrupt and trying to have impact on European elections, it's absolutely out of European values, democratic values. And I am sure that AfD will have a problems on next elections and this weekend because of J.D. Vance speech when he actually supported AfD, including Musk and all of these situations. So in Ukraine, we absolutely come. We continue to fight. And I'm sure that the Kit Kellogg, which is actually now in Kiev, and has a long meeting with president. They visited frontline. They visited Ukrainian brigades, talk with Ukrainian people, society, etc. Kit Kellogg, I hope, will try to deliver to President Trump reality, not the stories somebody telling him every day on golf championship. So I think that for Ukrainian people, it's absolutely not emotional. We just look at the reality. We just see that Trump is trying to make a warmer relationship with Russia, with war crime people, with killers who kill Ukrainian people since centuries. But if we're talking about this story, it's 2014. The Crimean occupation annexation is Donbass with thousand killed people, and since 2022, when the full-scale aggression with hundreds of thousands people killed, this is unbelievable. I would say that, but I think it's Ukrainians. We first of all we supporting. It's very interesting that all of Ukrainian opposition leaders since yesterday publicly wrote their support to Zelensky. It was impossible a couple days ago, actually. It was Poroshenko, for example, Timoshenko, all of these guys, and the younger generation of politicians. Somebody of them hate Zelensky, but yesterday, after all of these Trump announcements, they just publicly told that in this time of war, in this time of a strange situation in the United States, we're supporting personally President Zelensky for his intentions to save Ukraine, to keep our Ukraine strong. And I am sure that this is absolutely a right approach when Ukrainian nation again together, consolidated, that time against Russia, now against United States. It's fantastic. It sounds fantastic, but this is reality. I'm sure that next week will be absolutely different situation. President Trump, first of all, Kit Kellogg will actually today will be a press briefing of Zelensky and Kit Kellogg, and will be some news in contrast to Trump announcements and words. And it will be a next week. Well, it will be very important because a lot of leaders will be in Kiev because of the anniversary of a third anniversary of the war, and in the same time, the Prime Minister of UK and French President will be in Washington to meet President Trump. And as we see in medias, like the published some draft of possible plan for peace, not for peace, but I would say for ceasefire and guarantee of this ceasefire. Now we can talk about ceasefire and some actions by Europeans to keep this ceasefire for some long time. And this is, I think that next week could be very important from these events in Washington.
This is actually another topic that I would like to discuss with you, because it is true that there is a draft on the Telegraph about this peace mission, which says that the Prime Minister Keir Starmer will go to Washington and will present this plan to Donald Trump, which consists of sending to Ukraine, after a ceasefire agreement, 30,000 soldiers, but not necessarily to be located on the east part of the country, but more in like key strategic cities and ports, maybe. So what do you think about that? Is that a plan that the Kiev administration will actually agree with?
The topic about talking about the peacekeeping operations, it's a myth. It's impossible. We are talking about a war, high-intensity war between two big countries, Russia and Ukraine. It's impossible if you even put 1 million soldiers to front line. These soldiers should fight against Russians and Ukrainians or what. So it's impossible to talk even about peacekeeping operations. It should be a monitoring forces, and 30,000 for monitoring. It's enough. I think it's okay to keep them. I'm not sure that it's a key, some key cities, but of course its location should be important and convenient for these forces to conduct this monitoring. So if you look at the Poltava, Kryvyi Rih, and Dnipro city, maybe Odessa, this is the cities which is convenient, located a couple hundreds kilometers from the front line, but anyway, it's good locations to group of forces which will be or would be responsible for some monitoring missions to conduct the technical monitoring, because it's very important. I like this side that it will be a technical monitoring by drones, by satellites, etc. Maybe some aviation patrolling. Maybe very important for Black Sea, that Black Sea should be a special mission with patrolling of main maritime communications, the commercial communications, to keep the security in Black Sea. Do not allow Russians during ceasefire to renew dominance in Black Sea, because if you remember, before 2022, Russia actually occupied Black Sea using the occupied Crimea, occupied not only Ukrainian territorial and economical water, but they occupied the all Black Sea, and they created a hybrid situation when they close huge areas of Black Sea because of training. They announced the training and close the areas by it's actually under international law, but they using it against international law. So it's very important to have not only land forces, but again aviation and naval forces. So I think that, by the way, it could be one headquarter in Constanța. I'm sure that it should be the naval headquarter for this peace, or let's say stabilization forces in Ukraine, in Constanța, responsible for conducting the coordination of patrolling missions, because of Montreal Convention, it's impossible to put several French, UK, and other Spanish or Italian ships in Black Sea. They need to rotate because of the limitations. So it could be a headquarter in Constanța which will coordinate the rotation and basement of all of these ships from European countries. So I think it's a good idea. And another point that United States could participate supporting these stabilization forces in Ukraine, outside of Ukraine, putting some missile forces, maybe air defense, missile defense system, which is actually already in Poland and Romania, and maybe put some additional aviation. Again, maybe first of all in Poland and Romania, so from both sides of Ukrainian territory. And I think it makes sense. It makes sense. I like these propositions that they are very realistic, that Ukrainian forces staying on the front line, it's true. And these forces, international European forces, will make a monitoring mission, reporting, of course, to guarantors of this agreement, because agreement on ceasefire will be signed, I think, should be signed by President Trump, President Zelensky, and Putin, and maybe some European leaders, like participants of these European missions. So when and it should be some, they had coordinating headquarter which get reports from these monitoring missions and stabilization forces from sea, from air and land, and after this keeping the situation under control. So I think it makes sense compared to very fantastic propositions before that it will be some forces on the front line. It will be, it's impossible. Ukrainian and Russians will fight before they agreed to stop. So if they agreed to stop, okay. If Trump is a guarantor of this ceasefire, great. And if European countries will support Ukrainian intentions to keep this stabilization, they could be in Ukrainian cities to locate. If you're talking about 30,000 to 10,000 in each location, so it's kind of pretty optimal, let's say, optimal number to conduct these missions, which I describe now.
But is this monitoring center or headquarters in Constanța actually part of the discussion? Because this is the first time that I hear about this detail. Do you know anything about that?
Of course, it's my proposition, but if you're talking about the, first of all, in this article in the Telegraph, they have a word about naval components. If you're talking about naval, and to be honest, I wrote several articles that nobody is speaking about Black Sea. If you're talking about ceasefire, stabilization, whatever, everybody, I don't know why, maybe because of they don't understand what is Ukraine, but we have a land, but we have a Black Sea. It's a huge theater of military actions, military operations. Now Ukraine keep Russian forces in Novorossiysk. Actually, it's impossible for Russian forces to be in Crimea because it will be immediate attack of sea drones and Russian ships will be destroyed. But when we have ceasefire, what happened? And it will be a problem. And I'm very happy that I see in this article in the Telegraph that they have a proposition. So it should be some petroleum mission. Actually, I'm sure that nobody can say you what actually means petroleum missions. But if we look on the situation, of course, the best solution to keep headquarters. We need headquarters. Why I told about the headquarters? Because without headquarters in Constanța, it's impossible to conduct effective missions. We had it before 2014, before 2022. And, in the New Strategy Center and in Ukraine, we were discussing a lot why NATO didn't have any headquarters in Constanța. Okay, let's say in Black Sea. NATO didn't have any headquarters, so it means NATO didn't have the own Black Sea fleet or even Black Sea Command. They didn't have any command. So naval guys who were responsible for Black Sea could sit in UK, It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely ineffective. It's counterproductive. So if we're talking about not only this concrete stabilization mission, but I am sure that NATO and European Union have to have headquarters in Black Sea for command, for coordination, for doctrine, how to deal with Russians, how to deal in this situation. Because if we again don't have the headquarter coordination, doctrine, strategy, concept, how to deal with Russians at Black Sea, it will be disaster again. Ukraine called a lot of time before 2022, guys, we need to do something in the Black Sea because Russians just occupying everything here. Not only Crimea, but they occupying all of area. And they trying to use it for military and hybrid means. And in this case, you see the absolutely total disaster with these, then Russians in 2022 made this attack. And the first attack was Serpent Island, exactly because it's between Romania and Ukraine. This is very important economical area for Romania, for NATO country, and NATO didn't have any reaction on it. So Ukraine by itself, they occupied Serpent Island, push out Russian forces, and now they close them in Novorossiysk by own instruments, by sea drones, etc. Not NATO, unfortunately, only Ukraine. So we are calling again, guys, let's do it together to make it more effective. And I think this proposition about the naval petroleum mission should be not only just concrete for this agreement, but in general for NATO and European Union strategy, long-term strategy, how to deal with Russia and Black Sea. Actually, I propose make a demilitarization of Crimea. Just make Russia get out from Crimea with military forces. Okay, about status, we will talk later. Well, when Putin die, we will talk about it. But now we need to make a situation without new attempts of Russia occupy by military means this sea. This sea, which have a common and interest for all of countries, which is staying on this sea.
But do you think Russia will agree with this monitoring mission? And also, a first step before that would be actually to establish the demarcation line between what is being occupied illegally by Russia and the independent territory. And we know that actually Sergei Lavrov was saying the other day that the Russian forces will not withdraw. And also President Zelensky was asking the other day as well for the Russian troops to withdraw to where they were before February 2022. So I think this would be actually a first topic. How do you see the outcome of that?
This is a question to Trump, because we absolutely crazy understand that Russia, of course, wants to occupy all of Ukraine, destroy Ukrainian state. This is the main goal of this war. And when Trump saying that, okay, in 24 hours I will stop war, okay? Now already we have 1 month, nothing. So next step, Trump should press on Russia and stop to talk with them about the ultimatum to Ukraine, capitulation of Ukraine, etc. If somebody will say us that Russia will occupy next territories and Ukraine should give to United States 50% of resources, and this is a great deal, Ukraine will say no, of course. Talking about how it's possible that Russia will get out from Crimea. Ukraine absolutely easy could do it if we got a little bit more ATACMS. Believe me, we will make a demilitarization of Crimea very easy. Unfortunately, United States didn't give us enough ATACMS. So United States could just ask Russia get out from Crimea with all of military ships. And it will be only positive changes because, okay, formally it will be Ukrainian territory under Russian control, but without military forces. And it will be good for stability. Because if Russia keep here, not only keep, but renew, because now they don't have ships in Crimea. After ceasefire, when Ukraine will be limited by this agreement to use sea drones, our cruise missiles, etc., Russian ships immediately will back to Sevastopol. So we don't like this. We don't interested in this. So we want to ask United States if we're talking about the stability, please ask Putin get out from Crimea. This is absolutely just question.
But do you think Russia is honest when it's saying that it's open to negotiations? Because we are also seeing this.
No. All of negotiations they want to capitulation from Ukraine. This is absolutely clear. Then when they met a couple days ago in Saudi Arabia, Russia didn't change anything from Istanbul, so-called Istanbul ultimatum since 2022. Nothing. The limitation for Ukrainian armed forces, for no NATO, no Ukrainian language, etc. So it's absolutely the same. So if Trump think that Ukraine signed this, no, of course not.
But if Russia is not open to negotiations and the United States of America is now somehow backing or suggesting to back Russia's assumption in Ukraine, what is Ukraine going to do? Because it still needs military equipment.
Ukraine will continue to fight for independence and sovereignty. Very easy.
But with what military equipment? I mean, can Kiev actually rely on the European states?
Yeah, you see that it's a myth about the American equipment. Yeah, we have a very unique equipment like Patriots. So if we're talking about the critical dependence on American weapon, we have Patriots and missiles for Patriots. It's air defense system, which is really unique, unfortunately, because in Europe, European countries, they don't produce. They produce some T, French and Italian system, but they rarely only couple of them. And we have in Ukraine already, but they cannot produce fast. This is a problem. So unfortunately, the only solution against ballistic missiles is Patriot. And second, this is HIMARS. HIMARS is a unique equipment. Unfortunately, European countries, they only started to try to produce something like this. This is very, very absolutely great, fantastic system, and we need it. So this is two systems, which is unique. And all of other, this is absolutely not unique, I would say. United States transferred to us 31 tank. 31 tank. It's not a critical. As you understand, we're using thousands of tanks, thousands of armored vehicles, and United States sent us 31 Abrams tanks, let's say a couple hundreds of strike infantry fighting vehicle and Striker and Bradley. And actually, everything we could produce by Ukrainian industry. I mean, the armor vehicles, ammunition possible to get from Europe, from another countries. So if Trump thinks that we are absolutely incapable without U.S. support, it's not like this. In 2022, yeah, it was very important. I could remind you about F-16. It's from European countries. Right, weapon for F-16, it's American weapon, but actually, okay, we have Mirage already from France. We will have a Gripen from Sweden. So it's not unique what United States proposing to Ukraine. And actually, I think that 2025 definitely we could continue without United States. 2026 depends on how European countries will build the joint capabilities. So my opinion that when we're talking about the guarantees for security, we're talking about not guarantee for Ukrainian security, but for European security. Because without United States, European Union or European countries, let's say, because we have a UK and Norway here, as well, European countries uh, doesn't they don't have European countries don't have the proper capabilities to deter Russia. So without United States, so we need together all of European countries build now a joint capabilities, strategic capabilities, including missile defense, European missile defense, not United States. Long range missile capabilities, including ballistic missiles, which is European countries don't produce, only Ukraine produce. This is interesting. And cruise missiles, which is a couple of countries producing, UK, France, Germany, and Ukraine. We are producing cruise missiles. So I think that we should make it joint capabilities for all of European countries, share our capabilities. And of course, nuclear weapon should be European nuclear weapon, not depends on Vance, Trump, or other guys who can change their opinion every day. Very dangerous. Make a hug with Putin, and after this, change the situation, change the understanding how they could support European countries, European friends. Maybe tomorrow will be not friends and enemies. This is very dangerous for European countries to be dependent totally on United States in these areas. So we need to build it together, including, of course, strategic intelligence, reconnaissance, target acquisition, command and control, satellites, fleet, and etc. So this is our critical components and critical conditions for our European security. So when we're talking about the Ukrainian security, we should talk about European security, and this is right way.
There has been lately another statement coming either from Ukraine, from President Zelensky, or also from different intelligence agencies in Europe, saying that Russia is also preparing for a war on NATO. Also, President Zelensky was saying that it can happen actually next year, right? So, what do you think about that? Can Russia actually start a war on NATO, let's say in 5 or 10 years? Considering its economy right now and the state of its armed forces right now?
I don't know where people take in the 5, 10 years, how it's possible to make a forecast for this standing. Maybe because the politicians, they have a period of 4, 5 years, and they planning on this area, and they say, okay, it will be 10 years. I don't care. No, it's possible right now. You see, now I think that these steps, I would say the Trump administration is destroying solidarity and unity in NATO. So if we're talking about the probability, let's create a situation, the model that tomorrow Russia attack Lithuania. I'm not sure that United States will react properly in this situation. So United States could say, Lithuania provoked Russia because Lithuanians, they spoke Lithuanian language, and Russians, they don't like this language. That's why the great friend of mine, Vladimir Putin, attacked these aggressive Lithuanian language speaking people, and they need to give resources to Russia.
Are you
And
talking only about the US under Trump administration, right? Right now.
okay, this is 4 years. And
Mhm.
after this, I am not sure that J.D. Vance is going to get out from political scene of United States. I'm not sure that Musk is going to get out. So when we're talking about the Trump administration, we should look at the younger generation of these guys. And this younger generation, they very rich. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of capabilities, which is increasing every day because they take in control of all of United States agencies, instruments of the state. And it means that, but this is, again, this is the United States citizens elected these guys, so this is their problem. I'm not going to talk about this. Okay, if they like Musk, Trump, J.D. Vance, whatever, please like them. But we're talking now about Lithuania and NATO. So Russia, let's imagine that Russia tomorrow attack Lithuania, and then the United States will say that this is absolutely great step by our friend Vladimir Putin. What will NATO do in this situation? And Orban and Fico will say that we should understand that Russians they have a right to attack Lithuania because Lithuanians they are fascists and Nazis. Okay, so next, what is the next step of NATO? I'm sure that NATO won't make any decision. So again, I'm sure this is a responsibility for European countries. European countries doesn't matter how it calls, NATO, European Union, maybe we should create new organization, but it should be our own autonomous system of security and defense for Europeans. In any case, any attack of Russia, of any European territory, we should answer together. That's why I told in previous answer about our strategic uh, deterrence, strategic system for deterrence of Russia, missile defense, intelligence, and nuclear. If we have Europeans, we have nuclear, independent from United States, enough to deter Russia, it won't be any war against NATO. Because when you're asking about NATO, you mean Europe, actually, not Canada, I think. So if you're talking about attack on NATO, we should openly saying attack on Europe. And Europe should be think about it, should be ready for it, and should issue responsibility for it. Not asking maybe United States will protect us, maybe no, maybe Canada will protect us. Maybe about Canada, I think that I'm sure that they will help us. But I'm sure that we Europeans issue responsibility for it, not Australians, not New Zealand, not United States, Canada, or Mexico, only European countries. And we, unfortunately, if we started to analyze our capabilities, they are not enough to stop Russia. So if tomorrow Russia attack Lithuania, it will be a huge problem, huge problem. So that's why I am not supporting these stories about 5-10 years. No, not 5-10 years. Tomorrow it's possible, and this is reality.
Thank you. That was all from me. Thank you so much for all of your answers.